So this is a lesson on completing the square. When I go to complete the square, I want to put it into vertex form. So I'm taking a quadratic that is in standard form or general form, and I want to convert it into vertex form. Okay, so I'm going to do a little math manipulation with these numbers to just change the way the quadratic looks. It's still the same quadratic, it would still give you the same parabola. I'm just changing the way the equation looks so that it goes into vertex form. So in doing so, there's a couple of steps I'm going to follow. The first one is I'm going to take the middle term. Okay, now this is a nice simple trinomial, a value equal to 1. So it's going to be a little simple method to do it. So take my middle term, which is 10, and I'm going to cut in half. So 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5. Now I'm going to take that 5 and I want to square it. Get me 25. Okay, so I took the first term, cut it in half, and then squared that half. I'm going to write it out. That's 10x. That 25, I want to add and subtract that 25 right after the 10x, then plus 1 afterwards. I added and subtracted because they technically cancel each other out, so it doesn't change the entire values of the equation. The equation is still the same. I just inserted in a plus 25 and a minus 25 to change the way it looked. The first three terms are a perfect square trinomial. What multiplies to 25 and adds a 10 and be 5 and 5. So I can write out x plus 5 squared. Okay? Which ends up, this x plus 5, this 5 always ends up being what the half of the middle term was. Then after that, I have my minus 25 and my plus 1 after that. And that would become minus 24. So the first three terms shrink down to x plus 5 squared. It's a perfect square trinomial, multiplies 25, adds a 10, and be 5 and 5. X plus 5 squared. And then your last two just become minus 24. That gives me the vertex of negative 5, negative 24. So I changed from standard general form into vertex form by doing this. Let's do another example. X squared minus 12x plus 7. So I want to take the middle term, which is the minus 12. The minus 12. I want to divide it by 2, which is going to give me minus 6. Take that minus 6 and square it, and that will give me 36. I want to take that 36 and I want to add and subtract it. So plus 36 minus 36 plus 7. I put it in after the minus 12x. These first three terms will shrink down. They actually shrink down to x minus 6 squared. Okay? And it always shrinks down to what the half of the middle term was. Then I have minus 36 plus 7, which is minus 29. Now I'm in vertex form. My vertex is simply 6, negative 29. Okay, so I changed the way the quadratic looked. Now it gets a little harder when the a value is not equal to 1. When the a value is not equal to 1, you have a couple more steps to do. Here, the first step is I want to divide the 2, away from the first two terms. So that will give me 2 out front. It'll give me just x squared plus 6x in brackets, and then I have my minus 3. So I divide the first two terms by just that 2 in front. Okay, now I'm going to complete the square like I did previously, just from inside the brackets. So I'll take the second term here, which is just the 6, cut in half, which gives me 3. 3 squared is 9. Now I'm going to add and subtract that 9. Plus 9 minus 9, just like you did before, minus 3. These first three inside the brackets, I'm completing the square inside the brackets, shrink down to what half of the middle term was, 3, 2 bracket x squared, sorry, not x plus 3 squared. Okay, that's because two numbers that multiply to 9 and add to 6 is 3 and 3. Okay, so it's just like x plus 3 and x plus 3 from factoring simple trinomials. Alright, so that took care of the first three, but then I have this minus 9 that's still inside the brackets. I need to get it out of the bracket, so I'm going to multiply it by the first term, by the 2, which will give me negative 18 minus 3, 2 bracket x plus 3 squared minus 21. I changed from standard form into vertex form for my quadratic, and I can now see what my vertex is and I have an idea how to graph it. Next example, again, divide the first two terms by that a value. So that's going to give me 3 bracket x squared plus, and then in this case it would be 5x minus 1. Even if it doesn't divide nicely, it gives you a fraction, gives you decimal, you still divide that a term in front. Okay, now I take that second term, 5, cut it in half, which is 5 over 2. I'm going to square it, which will give me 25 over 4. I want to deal with just fractions here. So that's it squared, so I'm going to add and subtract it. Then I have my minus 1. These first 3 are going to shrink down. And it always goes to what the half was. In this case, it was 5 over 2. I took care of the first 3. Now I need to get the second one out of the brackets, or this last one out of the brackets. So I'm going to multiply it by 3 to get out of the brackets, which is going to give me negative 75 over 4. And I got my minus 1. 5 over 2 squared. Now, negative 75 over 4, subtract 1. That 1 I want to turn into being 4 over 4, so I have a common denominator. Minus 79 over 4. So it's a little bit messier. I've got some fractions now, but you can still see what your vertex is, and you changed from the standard form into the vertex form. So a short lesson on completing the square. Thank you very much.